the journey over the last 7 months has been as tough mentally as it has been physically. I feel like a caged animal right now. I'm just waiting for him to open the door and let me run free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast arena. Coming to the ring at this time.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
First, representing This Week in Geek, and from parts unknown, he is Mike, the Birdman, Don.
I am one hardcore D-O-double-D. I'm a nice man. I'm a nice man.
His tag team partner, representing the Geekcast radio network, and hailing from the outer reaches of your mind, he is Mike, TFG1 Blanchard.
I got 4 words for you. Check out my ass.
And from the Great White North, here is your special guest referee, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow.
The multi always gets his man.
You are listening to Mayhem Mics. And now, let's get ready to podcast!
You know, they say to shoot an arrow, you gotta pull it backwards.
Hello and welcome to Mayhem Mics. This is episode 40. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me, as always, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow Merkley. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And tonight we're going to be doing another of our WWE Network coverage things. We're going to be talking about WWE 24, which is the ongoing series that WWE has. It's WWE 24 on Finn Balor.
Most specifically, Finn Balor's knee.
Yeah. So this chronicles basically Finn's being promoted to the main roster from NXT. It has part of his NXT career in there. Obviously, where he grew up in Ireland and all that and everything else. But it basically highlights the portion where...
The shoulder, not knee. Why did I say knee?
What the hell is wrong? Somebody put an arrow to your eye.
I know why. I was thinking of a special guest star near the end.
Ah, yes. Yeah, so Finn's shoulder, because when Finn debuted, he was, for a very brief time, like minuscule amount of time, he was the first ever Universal Champion. And sadly,
less than 24 hours, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, a minuscule amount of time. If you're the champion for less than a day, that's minuscule in my mind when it comes to WWE. But it basically chronicles his rise and sort of fall and comeback into the WWE from, I think is it 2016 to 2017?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong, folks. I'm not looking at any info for this. But yeah, I dug this. I thought this was great. Just like, when we covered the Raw 25 was a little bit different, but like when we covered 365 Kevin Owens, this is kind of similar to that.
Which I kind of find, I'll say this too, which I kind of find amusing that with the 365 for Owens, we kind of got the other half of it because we got to see Owens talking to Finn during his rehab.
Yep.
And in this, we see Finn's side of things.
I love that. I think that's so cool.
I thought it was interesting, too, to see, because I wasn't expecting it. I had completely forgotten that they overlapped, but I wasn't expecting to see Seth Rollins on this.
Oh, really?
Because, of course, Rollins' knee injury happened. Yep. And then, yeah, the guy who accidentally, obviously, injured Finn ended up with him doing rehab for another serious injury. And my big takeaway from it, though, is just that if you're not a fan of Balor, and for whatever reason, there's a lot of people who, especially on the internet, don't like him, that kind of thing. If you're not a fan of Balor, I feel like this will make you one, because he really comes off as personable and somebody you want to pull for, whether you know him or not, kind of thing.
My only issue with him in the beginning, when I first started seeing him on WWE programming that was, the main roster programming, was the whole, he's Finn Balor, no, he's the Demon King. He's Finn Balor, no, he's, like, that was my issue, which I don't have that anymore because he's pretty much dropped the Demon King persona. I'm sure it's still there, but it's not as prevalent as it was.
They'll pull it out for the big matches, which is what he used to do in NXT, but yeah.
Right. Yep. The thing about this that is interesting is, you're seeing, at least for me, like, seeing somebody that isn't from the U.S. or North America, like, hey, he got to go home, for the first time in years, he went home to Ireland, and just seeing how his journey has happened and, how supportive his family is. And most of the time, most families would be supportive, some would not be, but it was just very, very interesting to see how his journey collided with Seth's, collided with Kevin's. Like, it was just so cool, because when we did the 365 Kevin Owens, there's a point in that where he's like, oh, there's AJ, or there's this person, pull up next to them, like on the way to WrestleMania or whatever. This has those kind of moments. I know that obviously WWE 24 is a docuseries that they're doing, and I'm not sure why they're doing both this and 365. I mean, 365 pretty much chronicles almost an entire year. Yeah,
it's meant to be just a year, versus 24 is just sort of supposed to be a moment in time. I don't know if they were going to do maybe a 365 for Finn, and then he had the injury, and so they decided to change it to make it more about his rehab, or I think maybe that's what happened, because his year kind of got derailed, obviously. And as much as I hate to say it, it sucks, but his career's kind of been derailed by this.
Yeah, it has. And this is something I'll be saying next week, folks, when we do the Money in the Bank episode. The biggest problem for Raw superstars, the Raw superstars that should be on a chase for the championship, you have a champion that doesn't want to fucking do anything.
Thank you. Yeah.
Seriously.
It's a huge problem. Everybody's in a holding pattern because nobody can go after a belt or anything. You just got to sit around. The whole point, all right, you're a pro wrestler. The whole point is that the belt is supposed to be this thing you're chasing after, because you want to be the best. You want to have the trophy that tells you you are the best. Well, what do you do if you don't have that fucking trophy? Brock is a great attraction, and I'm not trying to knock him, because it's not necessarily his choice that this has happened.
Right.
It's his choice to not work all the dates, but I don't know if he demanded to be champion or not. Let's assume he didn't, though. They just not having a champion or the big belt just really hurts the show. Yeah. We'll talk about it when we talk about the Raw after. Yeah. The Raw after Money in the Bank. Not to mention Money in the Bank, where, by the way, a whole bunch of the belts weren't even defended.
Yeah, exactly.
Including Brock's. We don't even know. It sounds like he's not going to show up at Extreme Rules either.
I don't
Whatever
know.
happened to the whole, like, you had to defend the belt every, 60 or 90 days or whatever?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, this goes back to, Seth.
Why didn't they just leave the belt on Finn while he was injured?
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Like, or leave it on Owens. Like, have Owens win. Have Owens go. Everyone, to my knowledge, and you said it a couple episodes ago, you pay attention to all the behind the scenes, like all the news stuff and all the forums. I don't.
Yeah.
I specifically do not go on wrestling forums because I know I will end up in a 6-hour, argument over a wrestling Jeopardy question or something. Like, seriously, like, this is why I don't do
No, that
this.
was a Transformers Jeopardy question.
Well, same difference. But, here's the thing. Like, this is why I don't interact with wrestling forums and things like that, is because I don't want to know anybody that actively dislikes Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is kind of a cool guy. Like, we did the 365 on him. We saw the behind the scenes and how he approaches his career. Like,
and to be fair, like, I try not to, Roman obviously gets the bulk of a lot of hate now. And this is another problem with him, by the way, is that Roman can't progress or anything, because they have this thing where he's chasing the title, but the title's not on the show 90% of the time. So he just kind of sits there and has these pointless feuds when we all know they want to put the belt on him, but it's just sitting there and nobody can do anything with it. And then you have Finn Balor, who's never had a rematch for the belt, even though he never lost it.
Exactly.
And, like, there's all these issues related to it, and yeah, they bring that up during this as well. And just, I don't know, like,
it's like,
it's hurting everybody. Anyway, we should probably get back to Finn.
Yeah. But yeah, it is hurting everybody, and you guys can hear us in a week talk about it even more.
Whine about it more.
Well, like, talking about this now, I understand why Alex, a.k.a. Gravy Moose, a.k.a. Turtle Treasure over at This Week in Geek, doesn't want to be on this show with us, because he actively hates what's going on with WWE. He said something about... I'm checking out of WWE. I'll check back in once SummerSlam rolls around. Maybe the creative will be better by then. This is the kind of stuff I look at, saying that the creative is not good because you don't have a fighting champion. And the whole
to be fair, the NXT creative has been outstanding,
obviously,
and they just consistently put on amazing pay-per-views. So
exactly, it's crazy. It's just so crazy.
Finn's Finn's a guy that, getting back to him, Finn's a guy who it's really hurt that there's no belt, because there's been nothing for him to fight for. He's, for whatever reason, they haven't put him in that mix, although part of that's because during the time Finn was gone, Strowman really took off. Like, basically out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. The fans and everybody got behind him, and so he kind of came back, and suddenly he doesn't have a spot or anything, and that's it's one of the big issues with injury in any sport, scripted or otherwise, is somebody gets hurt, somebody else steps up, and because of that, and because Brock's never around, Finn never got his rematch. He's never. I don't think he's even had a match for the title since he came back.
He has not, no.
Yeah, so, oops. And it's weird. I mean, like I said before, if you're not a fan of his, or if you just don't like him or that kind of thing, I really feel like if you watch this, you'll end up as a fan of his. Like, his positivity, I find, is really infectious, and he seems like a really nice guy. And next to nobody has anything negative to say about him. Anybody that's worked with him has nothing at all negative to say about him. And I mean, Becky Lynch credits her entire career to him, and him helping her out and that kind of thing. So
here's the thing that I would say to anyone that thinks wrestling is fake. We've said this before in 3 years. Yes, there are parts of it that are choreographed. Yes, there are matches that the outcomes are predetermined. However, anyone thinks the athleticism in these matches is faked or whatever, watch this. Watch WWE 24 on Finn Balor, because seeing what he went through, the training, the in-ring stuff, the injury, how coming back from the injury, some of the stuff that they showed in this, of showing him with his moves and everything else, like, wow. There's no way to fake that stuff.
Or watch a replay of Money in the Bank and watch Kevin Owens take a fall I think it's about the same distance as Foley. Somebody was mentioning this, that it's almost the exact same distance. But Owens, for some reason, is not getting any real credit for it or that kind of thing. But, he fell like 20 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Onto forgiving concrete.
Yeah, not really, no. I hope that they find something to do. Like, Finn has stuff to do. You can put Finn up against people that are on Raw. I don't know. Like, Gallows and Anderson over on SmackDown, so you can't do that anymore.
There's no Balor Club. Well, he's sort of teamed up with Braun.
Yeah, a little
They
bit.
seem to be buddies. But he hasn't had a lot to do. And again, it's just been really unfortunate.
Yeah. His career in WWE seems to be, I would say, the most unfortunate in the 10 or 11 years that I've been watching WWE actively again since 2007. Like, there have been things that have happened in the last 10 or 11 years with WWE, but, like, actively seeing a superstar that has the talent, that was no one else can claim that. No one else can say they were the first ever Universal Champion. Like, that's his. Like, give him that. They believed
in him to be the champ back then. And just since then, for whatever reason, management hasn't believed in him. Or it's like we said earlier, they just need to have Brock there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. But WWE 24 on Finn Balor, go watch it, folks. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's a fun look into Finn's life and his career, and how he basically overcame the injury.
He just, like I said before, he seems like a fun guy. I want to say too, I really like the way they filmed this. I've mentioned it before that this and the 365 series they do have been terrific so far, and they're enjoyable to watch. I was worried that they were going to show a lot of the surgery, or it was going to be kind of gory and that kind of thing. It definitely wasn't, so it's well shot, and that it's not just about or showing the injury or anything like that. So
I think they might have shown him going to the hospital. I don't even think they showed him in the hospital. If they did, he was like post-op, and it was Kevin Owens coming to see him in there or something like. But and I wouldn't think WWE would show the surgery.
They have on some of them. I'm worried about that too with Seth's, but they didn't show much of it. They've released pictures though, and that kind of thing, where you're kind of like, I don't need to see that.
Yeah, no. So I know this has been a short episode, folks, but these WWE 24s and 365s are like less than an hour, so we don't want to put more time into them than they actually are. Where can the people find you online, sir?
At Nightbeat.
Where?
At Nightbeat on Twitter.
There you go.
There, happy? You can ask me wrestling questions or whatever.
Ask him Transformers questions or Star Trek questions or The Expanse questions. I don't know.
Or one of the 800 other series I've watched.
Yep.
I was really happy to get a Blu-ray box set of all 6 Aliens movies for $20. So now I'm watching that. Okay. Not right now, obviously. Anyway.
Obviously. We're a little busy. You can find me on Twitter at TFG1Mike. You can follow at Geekcast Radio and at This Week in Geek as well for GCRN stuff and Twig stuff. A lot of stuff going on, both networks. We are actually preparing. I haven't said too much about this lately, we're in the midst of preparing the GCRN's top 100 wrestlers countdown, so that'll be coming up later this year.
Number 1, the Great Khali. Number 2, Zeus. Number 3,
Vader.
Oh, sorry. No, well, I was listing bad wrestlers. You just listed a really good one. We'll get into that on the open of the next show.
Yeah, and Money in the Bank. For now, though, folks, I think, as always, a staple of this podcast, you gotta have the list. We'll see you next time.
You just made the list! All clear.